So I tried Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations for 30 days, and here's what happened. Now, first of all, the most interesting thing that happened out of the gate was once I learned how long some of these meditations were, 42 minutes, 55 minutes, some of them were even over an hour, I immediately realized that my relationship with time needs to be worked on. And it's so funny. And I think the thing that you'll learn throughout this video is how peculiar and odd some of the things I learned were. But at the same time, even though they weren't exactly what you would have expected I would have experienced, right? It wasn't like I was levitating, I wasn't having out of body experience. I wasn't healing anything that was so much traumatic or that needed healing within, which is one thing that a lot of people do. But what I realized is I realized a lot about myself, how my mind works, my imagination, and my emotions. So I'm going to share that with you in this video because I really think that you're going to be fascinated by the things I learned because I know I was, right? And so first of all, when I looked at the time that these meditations would be, I immediately became anxious. And I said, well, whoa, that's not the energy that I'm looking to bring into this meditation. And so I said, okay, that's fine. You know, I can control my emotions. I just need to get clarity, right? I need to get curious and I need to get clear on like what's happening here. And what was interesting is even before I did my first meditation, I actually found out something very powerful. Something very, very powerful revealed itself to me, which was that my relationship with time needs to be monitored and maybe explored a little bit more. And so let me explain. So I think that a lot of us, we all want things, right? Like I'm remodeling my house, I want it to be done yesterday, right? I have a job that you know, if there's a job that you're starting, you want to start yesterday. If you're looking for anything that we're looking for, we want it to happen typically a lot sooner than later. And so our relationship with time, I think a lot of times causes us to be stressed and anxious because if you think about it, things happen when it's time for them to happen, not often when you feel it's time for them to happen. And so that was one thing that came out of me reflecting on my relationship with time. And then I also realized that I said to myself, all right, this one meditation, I think it was like 42 minutes. I don't think it was Blessing of the Energy Centers. I think it was one of the other ones. But anyways, I remember it was 42 minutes long. And this is early on in the 30 days. And I said, I don't want to invest that much time. There's other things I could do that are, you know, that I think are more important. And you know what was interesting? Is I actually called myself out. I'm literally having this conversation with myself. And I said, oh, there's some things that are more important. Go ahead and name them. Go ahead. What are they? And I struggled. I was like, well, you know, I really should do laundry, or I really want to go to the gym. There were all these like menial tasks. And then what I realized is I had not placed enough value and importance on the outcome of the meditation in order for me to be excited to initiate the meditation. And so what I realize is what drives us to do something is the value and importance that we place on things. What is the outcome? What am I gonna get? If you tell me that, hey, you should run a mile down the road, well, it's cold out and I don't really feel like running, okay? Now, if all of a sudden you say, hey, if you run a mile down the road, today, in the next hour, I'll give you $1 million. Okay, now the outcome is enough to satisfy me, to get me to move and take action. And so what I realized is I need to really get clear on what the outcome and the result I was looking. Now that doesn't mean I'm gonna hyper focus on the result or outcome because I really wanted to kind of work on the process, but I at least had to take that step in order to have some sort of why, some sort of purpose. Because if you think about it, anything that we do, the bigger the why, the bigger the expected or anticipated payout, the more charged and the more likely we are to accomplish that task or initiate that task. And so that I thought was a really interesting thing, that I need to manage my relationship with time and the value and importance I place on the things that I do. That way I'll be more likely to want to do them. So another thing that I thought was interesting is when it comes to visualization, when it comes to imagination, I think we all kind of get it wrong. And what we do is we imagine our future as if it's a future event. Not only that, but we tend to more often visualize what we wish, what we want, what we desire. But once again, that creates that lack, that energy of lack. We need that energy of abundance to be there. That's the more powerful energy. And so what I did learn while listening to, and it was a phrase that was in one of the meditations that caught me and got me thinking about lack and where I was focusing my energy and attention. And I said, wait a minute. I said, there's a lot of things here. One, I'm not really using my imagination, right? What I'm using is I'm visualizing, and there's a difference. If we have 5 senses, right? And the more that we close the gap between that which is real and that which is imagined, the more we feel it, right? And the more we elicit those elevated emotions that Dr. Joe wants us to elicit. So what I realized was, as I was going through one of the meditations where it wanted us to kind of go on a journey, I was only using one of those 5 senses. I was using visualization. And I realized that that was why I wasn't feeling as if that thing had already happened or already occurred. One, I was focusing on like me wanting it, me desiring it. So I was creating time and distance between that which I was imagining. Not only that, but I wasn't really imagining. I was only using one of the senses. So then I said, all right, I got 5 senses. So I started to imagine. I said, all right, what does it feel like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? I tried activating all 5 of my senses to really activate my imagination so that that which I desired just felt so real. It was almost as if it were happening now. That was a huge breakthrough, because if you think about it, that is the key. One, if you think too far into the future, well, that thing has time and distance. When there's time and distance, there's lack. That space is lack. I don't have this thing. I want this thing and I don't have it, right? And so in getting clear on how to activate and truly use my imagination, everything felt a lot closer, it felt a lot more real, and it felt a lot more possible. And so that was a really, really powerful exercise for me, was to better manage my relationship with imagination and not just use visualization. And another thing that popped up too is I realized how much we overthink. I'm like, wow, I'm overthinking this. Am I doing it right? Right? Am I doing this meditation right? And is there did I miss something he just said? And I was like, whoa. Just go with the flow. Just do the thing. The more that you're thinking, the less you're listening, right? And the less you're listening, the less value you're getting out of it. And also the more you're thinking, the less you're doing, right? Because I always feel like if we're thinking, sometimes we tend to overthink. We're not doing the thing, right? That's oftentimes what paralyzes us. And so what I also realized is I was like, wow, this is my monkey mind doing its thing. All right, cool. And I became the observer. I kind of looked at it and said, okay, what is my mind doing? Wow, it seems really racy. It likes to always be racing and always be thinking and moving and analyzing. And I said, well, wait a minute, that's the analytical mind. I need to quiet that mind. And so what I said is, hey, do as much. And what I did is I opened up all the meditations and I said, listen, you start them and stop them whenever you want. If you're in the middle of the meditation and you want to stop, stop. You want to go to the end, go to the end. Don't focus so much on a result while you're in the meditation. So I got myself primed and excited to do the meditation, right? Which I did have to think about, but I didn't want my brain to be turned on while I was listening to meditation. I just wanted to be deeply immersed in listening. And so one of the skills that oddly I developed is I became a much better active listener. And I found that started to help my relationship, because in relationships, think about it. We all want to be heard. We want to feel like someone's listening to us. We want them to be present. And so in listening to Dr. Joe, I really wanted to give him my ear and give him that in return for the value I felt he was giving me. So I became a better listener, a better active listener. I improved my relationship with time and distance. I was able to decrease the energy of lack. I also found that through activating all of my senses, I was able to imagine instead of just visualize. And this had a much greater impact on not just elevating my emotions, but feeling like those desires I had in the future would one day be realized. And so there was one other thing I wrote down too, is that 2 things. One, I gained better control over my nervous system. A lot of that was through the breath work, but also a lot of it was just not overthinking things, not putting so much value and importance on some outcome, right? I'm like, just do the thing. Just do it. Just go. Like if you want to go to the gym today, just go. go do the workout. Most of us get so caught up in thinking about the thing and we overthink it to the point where we just paralyze ourselves and we don't even do the thing. So it's like, I'd rather have someone, I don't know about you, I'd rather just go to the gym and say, hey, I went to the gym, let's see how it goes. Now, when I go there, hey, maybe I'm gonna have a great workout, maybe I'm not, but I don't wanna overthink going because I at least wanna get there, right? And so I felt like I'm moving a little bit faster, I'm not overthinking things. And one other thing is I'm gaining better control over my emotions and also better managing stress, which I thought was a really, really good benefit. And then finally, I realized one simple thing, the power of the pause. Pause and ponder. Matter of fact, I got so excited that when this hit me, it actually hit me the next morning. I did a one meditation at night, which totally helped me sleep, by the way. And the next day I woke up with like a lot of clarity. It was almost like my brain downloaded information throughout the evening that was like ready to be revealed and shared to me once I woke up. But one of the things I woke up thinking is, wow, if we're so busy being busy and doing what we're used to doing, but then getting the same result, right? Because if we're busy, we're not conscious, we're not awake, and oftentimes we're just doing the habitual patterns of thought, feeling, and action, getting our same results, living the same reality. And so I said, whoa, the power of the pause, just hitting pause, one moment, hitting the pause button, right? And saying, stop. I know you're busy, but guess what? Hate to tell you this, you're not as busy as you think because there's 24 hours in a day, you sleep for 8, that gives you 16. No one's busy for 16 hours. Oh yeah, I'm busy. You can stop for a minute. Don't kid yourself. And so just hitting pause, right? The power of the pause, but then pondering things. Where am I focusing my energy and attention? What's my current emotional state? Could I make a shift? Am I present in the moment? Am I listening to the person in front of me? Am I thinking about my response instead of actually listening to them? These are the things that I gained by witnessing and being part of 30 days of Joe Dispenza's meditations. And I will tell you this, here's another thing that Joe taught me that you're gonna love here in this next video.